I'd like to call to order the regular meeting of the Moose Lake City Council for Wednesday, August 10th, 2022. And I'd like to start with a pledge of allegiance, please. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thanks everyone for coming. The next item is the agenda. We do have one addition to start with, and that's under new business 6. This would be K, and this would be a temporary on-sale liquor license for the Chamber for the Brewfest at the Depot. Do we have any other changes or additions, subtractions from the agenda? Not hearing any, do I have a motion to accept the agenda?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Moving on to number 2, consent agenda. 2A, we have the minutes of regular city council meeting for July 13, 2022. Do you have any discussion or questions on the minutes? Hearing none, do we have a motion to accept the minutes for July 13, 2022?
So moved.
Do I have a second? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Under 2B, financial reports. Number 1 is the city accounts payable June 2022. Number 2, city accounts payable July 2022. Number 3, city financial statements June 2022. Number 4, city financial statements July 2022. Number 5, liquor store profit loss statement June 2022. And number 6, liquor store profit loss statement for July 2022. Any discussion or questions on the financial reports? Hearing none, do we have a motion to accept the financial reports?
So moved.
Do I have a second? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. We'll take a second to get through these to the next. Thank you. Number 3, public comment. This time is reserved for comments from the public on matters not listed on the agenda. Please keep your comments to 3 minutes. We have no visitors here. No statements. Moving on to number 4. Departmental reports for the police chief for June 2022.
Mayor, members of the council, and Administrator Owens. In your packet, you'll see the police report for July, totaling 230 calls for service. 78 of those were extra patrol, 19 traffic stops, 28 community engagement, 15 assist other agencies, 88 calls for service, and 2 medicals. Other than that, I mean, it's been a busy summer, a lot going on. Good part of it is, I think, a lot of our stuff for responding to calls, as far as a lot of the crime statistic stuff has been down and going pretty well. It's given us a little bit more time to be at some of these other larger events. Mega Days, as you all know, is a very large event in town here. For the amount of people that were here, and congestion, that things actually went very well. So people are getting used to it. I think the backup on the freeway contributed to some of that they started exiting here, and it was, backed up a long ways, but it just still kind of flowed through. National Night Out, I thought was a big success. We had a lot of people there. I think we estimated probably 700 to 800 people. So big thank you to all the businesses that, set up booths. I think we had 13 different businesses in there that set up and had some games and prizes, and the people that donated, and then the people that attended, as well as the other city staff that helped set it up. Sarah deserves a lot of the credit from our agency. This takes quite a bit of planning prior to it, so she's the one that coordinated the whole event, put the whole thing together, so hats off to her for the work she did doing that. Our new AEDs finally arrived, so I had sent one of our people to the training on it, and that was through the grant, so we got all brand new ones for free, Wi-Fi capable, so we're getting all those programmed now and up and running, and then we'll be doing some training in-house for our people. We did which is known as active shooter training. Now it's been changed to active deadly threat training, because people were not calling in some of the major incidents because it wasn't actually a shooting. But it's a knife thing. You look at St. Cloud, the mall, where there's stabbings and things like that. So that's kind of been changed, the name for it. But we went through that yesterday at the Moose Lake School. So we had the majority of our officers there. One's off on vacation, and some of the surrounding agency as well. It was great working with Superintendent Steen. They helped coordinate the whole event. They were very supportive of having it there. So it's kind of an interesting training. All of our officers had to go through and actually wear a vest. So if you got shot, you got more or less shocked by the thing, and it was quite the jolt. So it was really good training to go through and actually do it in our school, where if there's an incident, everybody's going to be familiar with. So we finished that up yesterday. Today I attended a Minnesota statewide ATV strategic plan meeting. They were actually going to have one for our zone here, but because of this meeting here today, I had to attend the one out for the western part of the state. But they were pretty much shocked at the amount of stuff that we've done and handled here, so my phone was ringing immediately after that meeting. So they're really looking at getting some of the things, and the DNR asked, what do you need to be successful for your community? So I laid it out what we need and what they need to do, and stuff like that. So they're going to be doing some follow-up with me on that as well. So continue to keep moving in that direction to get things worked out here. But they weren't seeing the level of stuff we are, but some of the other areas are. And so yeah, they really wanted to know what we're doing here. So that's really about it for me, unless you guys have any questions.
Well, thank you very much.
Yeah, no.
That's a lot of info.
Yep, thank you.
Pass it on, please.
Thanks,
Good job.
Yep, I will. Yep, thanks.
City Superintendent Department Report for July 2022.
Mr. Mayor, members of the council, Administrator Owens. Darren said it really well earlier, super busy, it's summer. There's 1,000 things to do, we're not going to get them all done, but we're going to try as hard as we can. So we're going to start in the water department. Month of July, we distributed 6.1 actually million gallons of drinking water. The month of July, our GPS mapping program is going to be starting here probably the beginning of September. It was going to be a little sooner. We ended up getting a little backed up with some other things, but that'll be a really good thing to get going. It'll be good for Moose Lake, the department as a whole, and then I think there's a few things that even admin office can be able to use on that too. So it'll be really, really good there. Sewer department collection systems, 12.1 million gallons of wastewater in the month of July. Lining project that's started. Are you going to touch on that in our engineering? I'll touch on it now. That got started last week. The first phase of it, the pre-cleaning, televising, measuring, that's completed. We have a date up in here for that anyway. So there's a portion of that one started and done, but there's the majority of that construction is yet to happen. It's supposed to be done by 2nd or 3rd of September, something like that. Bridge lift station, I gave a little update last month as to where we're sitting with that. It's not looking very good. We have some loaner pumps in there right now. There's estimates for new pumps in our packet tonight. Not a dollar amount I'd like to see come that's not budgeted, but we'll talk about that later. But we're kind of up between a rock and a hard place with that one. We just don't have a choice. Generator, the main lift station generator got serviced last week. That was a complete service, including the cooling system, which is completed. Street department pothole filling is normal. Blacktop patching. This last month we did about 16 ton. We try to do 16 to 20 ton a month, just on any types of patching. The bigger patches, not your potholes, but your bigger stuff. You'll start to see them all over town now. They're pretty much everywhere. I think there isn't a street in town that hasn't touched it, so there's a lot. 4th Street's amazing. We're 2.5 weeks ahead of schedule. We have two change orders, or 3 change orders on that project. One's not costing us any money, the other 2 are very small dollar ones. So really good stuff. That's the way, I told SCH, that's the way Moose Lake expects all our road projects to go from here on out. So I'm sure we all have consensus on that, right? Equipment-wise, we have some warranty work getting done on the Cat 450 here next, at the end of the month. Nothing spectacular. Cemeteries, campground park, business as usual, pretty much running on their own. Cemeteries have been busy. There have been burials just about weekly out there. Other than that, there's a bunch more coming up in the rest of the packet, but that's all I have for right now. Any questions?
Videoing of 4th Street, are we going to be able to do that at any point? Video, just the update.
Happened on Monday.
It happened
The
on
first one
Monday.
happened Monday. I think we're
Great.
doing another one the following Monday. Next Monday, we're doing another one. Yep, there was some miscommunication between that young man and myself, and now we're on the right page. Now we're good. So we should be seeing something coming up here soon. I guess I'm going to be on TikTok. I don't know what that means. So it's awesome. Just super excited.
Thanks, Phil,
Yep.
appreciate it.
I also have to mention too that for National Night Out, Walt, thanks for hosting that. I wasn't down there, but our officer I know came down there. Walt and the Lake Theater provided a free movie right after the National Night event, so hopefully that was attended well.
It went really well. There was 96 people that showed up, so
Excellent.
it was a good success.
So that was new for National Night Out this year. The arena worked very well as well, but yeah, thanks for doing that. It was great.
Thanks, Walt.
You're welcome. Thank you, Darren.
Moving on to 4C Municipal Liquor Store report for July.
Council, Mayor, Administrator, thanks for having me back. Elaine's out on vacation right now, so I thought I'd jump in and just give a quick update. She didn't have anything prepared, so I called the pilot company, the company that we put the handheld devices down at the liquor store. We did secure the 15%, which is the max for revenue that we would take back in off the net. So through August 1st through the 8th, we netted just over $2,000. So that's really good. 7,835 tickets sold through those handheld devices. So it's definitely working. I spoke to some of the bar staff down there. They said people really enjoy them, so things are going well there. Just wanted to update that quick little. Any questions about pilot games? That's good, because I wouldn't know.
Well, but I do got a comment about the liquor store. I notice it every time I turn up the street, that sign, the rusty sign.
We've discussed it, it'll be,
Okay.
I got it.
we got it.
It's getting really bad. Thank you.
All right. Thanks, guys.
Thanks, Ryan, appreciate it. D, under 4D, Technology/Library Department.
Yes, I've been working with Rory. We are looking to get a couple of quotes for some sound equipment. I know there's been some complaints after meetings, and hearing our meetings within the broadcast have been really difficult. So we are working on a solution for that. So as soon as I get my hands on those quotes, we'll most certainly bring them forward. We do know how important it is that people can hear what's going on. So we are working towards a solution for that. In addition, the library has had some summer programming events. Most recently, they did a reptile show here in the community center. I know there were between 70 and 80 attendees to the reptile show, so it was really, really good. Fun. Laura was excited about it, and she has a watercolor painting programming taking place tomorrow. So she's been working at utilizing Facebook a little differently now to help promote some of the events, and it's going really well.
Appreciate that, thanks. Under City Engineer Monthly Update for August 3rd, 2022.
Between Phil's update and some other agenda items, we have most of this stuff covered. A few things I wanted to mention is we did finalize our reimbursement request with the DNR for the Trunk Highway 73 trail. We have received the full $150,000 funding reimbursement. And so now we're moving on to LCCMR to start that reimbursement process for the trail. So we are working on that in the background. In addition, we've been working with Genesis Wireless regarding the lease agreement for their equipment that's on top of the water tower. We've kind of gone back and forth a little bit. They've submitted a proposal, and so our engineer group is actually working with us on that to just kind of give us a good idea about other communities our size, what the rate should be for rental, and give us a little bit of aid and assistance as far as establishing some of those terms. Once we have it narrowed down, we'll most certainly bring it forward, but we're working on that in the background as well. I believe everything else will be covered with other agenda items.
Any questions? Thank you, Alyssa. Moving on to 4F Chamber of Commerce updates.
We went to the chamber meeting today. They had a really successful Nine and Dine event. In addition, Agate Days was very successful for them. There's the upcoming triathlon on Saturday, August 13th, and then the Brew Fest at the Depot on Saturday, September 17th. They're still kind of working on their financials as far as what was netted from these events, so we'll most certainly share that when we get that. But overall, they've had a really good, successful summer season of activities. And in addition, they're kind of doing a little bit of analysis on Agate Days to kind of see what changes they may implement in moving forward and how they can continue to improve the event and the functionality and operation. So a team from the city has met with them, and we'll continue to meet with them just to make sure that we're being a good partner and that we're helping facilitate as best we can. So.
Questions by the council? Thank you for the update. Moving on, number 5, previously discussed business. 5A, mill and overlay discussion and quotes. Any new data?
Sorry. Starting on page 74, 75, 73, something like that. 2 meetings ago, you guys asked to take a look at some options for mill and overlay. Came up with some options that didn't have any utility underneath them. You then asked me to go out and get 2 quotes to mill and overlay these 2 sections that were called out. And here are your estimates. That's all I got.
For Douglas, would that be from
So
3rd Street down to 1st Street?
So if you go down to page 76, that calls out, no, 77, that calls out, that's the same map I had at the last meeting. So
Okay.
the next page down, so 77 actually calls out Douglas as the 2-block section we talked about. So that's
Right.
720 feet by 33 feet wide. So that's just the bituminous layer of blacktop. That's all that is. Doesn't do any other type of right-of-way reconstruction, no utilities underneath, no storm, no curb, no gutter, no nothing. Just grind it up and lay it back down. The one above that, the cheaper one, is for that 300 by 33 foot section on Hickory Avenue. It was the other one that we found that didn't have a whole lot, if any utility. Actually, this has one service underneath it, but there's no city-owned main underneath it.
So as we look at budgeting for next year, and as we start to have some of those meetings, having these figures is extremely helpful. I guess what would be most helpful is having, knowing what the priority is for including one of these, if at all possible within the budget. Do you want us to, entertain it, provide a couple different options, where it fits in, we can take a look. Wanting to know at this point a direction for moving forward about what we do with this information, whether we just hang tight or whether we look to see what we can accomplish in the year to come.
I would suggest that each council member take a drive through those areas that are suggested. I think we're kind of focused in on is it Douglas? Yes. On Douglas, but just take a look This is informational right now. One thing that we need to do, which would really work well for us working with our engineer group and getting quotes out early for bid, is to try to get some of these projects shovel-ready. Because even this year, when we finally put the bids out, it was in the spring. At that point, most of the construction companies are lined up. And if you're going for the lowest bid, well, we're not going to get probably a little lower bid than we would have if we went out in January. January, February is ideal time to go out for summer projects. They'll come in, maybe start in June instead of later. I think a little pushback this year that we did moved the 1 4th Street up.
Yeah, we did.
It did, because they were talking the end of August.
Right.
And a little pushback, and they jumped in right after the 4th, right? No, before.
Just before, the week before.
Yeah. So if we get some of this stuff shovel ready on any of our projects and have it ready by, I would say, to me, January, we're going to be ahead of the game and get better bids and probably, to me, a better project.
Other question.
Yeah.
Did we ever look at what it would cost for the people that are paving 4th Street to come back and pave Douglas? I mean, it's the same area. Is there?
Yep, so their
Savings?
initial response was, we don't even want to provide an estimate because it's not a big enough project for them. And I guarantee you it's going to be twice as much. Hands down. That's so if everyone knows my opinion on mill and overlay because we're trying to rebuild this town, right? But I understand your concern and what we need to start seeing happening. If we choose to do a mill and overlay, it is going to be way cheaper to do that directly from council through me to the contractor. There's nothing to it. There's literally nothing to it other than grind it up and repave. That's going to save us a lot of money. As soon as we start turning that over to other hands and other agencies for help, that's when we're going to lose it.
And I agree.
Well, it just seems like since they're right there, it would
So-
be such a.
So Vite's not even paving. They subbed everything up to North.
Okay.
Yep, they don't even have a paving crew in Minnesota, I was told, yep. Because I got excited about it too at first. I'm like, hey, perfect, block away.
Greg?
How long does it take them to strip it and pave it?
Less than a day.
That's what I mean. So, I mean, you're talking, say, if somebody's in the area and you say, can you do me 3 blocks?
Yep.
Say, 1,000 feet.
Yep.
I mean, you're talking, they're gonna get done in 2 days.
Well, you got her, absolutely,
So,
100%.
I mean, the problem is for who's got the okay to say, Joe, well, can you do this paving job next week, yes or no?
Right, and that's where the budget discussions come up. Like, if we just have an earmark amount of monies set aside, like, yes, we want to prioritize this, we want to try and do one every other year. So we have a road reconstruct, however it's laid out, then we do have to have those monies budgeted.
Both these two companies have worked in and for our town before, just so you know.
Yes, sir.
You know about you would know what 2 blocks of this city costs to repave.
To mill and overlay,
Yes,
it costs $42,000.
but
Yes, sir.
I
Well,
have a question here on the bids. If they were to do this, like down on 2nd Street when we had that done, I think it was Kaminsky that did that, and they did it in like 3 passes, like they did the
Widths?
side, the middle,
Yep.
and then the side. Would they be doing that again like that, or would they be doing it with just 2 passes?
In these estimates here would just be 2.
Would be 2?
Yep, it'd only be 2.
Okay.
Yep, this is a baseline starter, for lack of better words, lipstick on a pig. This is gonna buy you 5 years, is what this is gonna do.
this is kind of what we did on Industrial Road from the entrance of the trailer court to 73, and then I think we went beyond 73 to that, is it bumper to bumper? I can't remember the name. Louise, where Louise Halverson lives.
Why is it more expensive to do 3 passes?
Why is it? Because you get down into reclaiming the base. So like, this is bare bones. They aren't gonna mess with any base material, no class 5, no nothing. Rip it up and relay it. And there's boulders poking through that road and hickory as well. So this is very good pricing, it's very cheap, but it's not a fix. This is a temporary solution.
This will get us to, like the one on Industrial Road, that has to be over 10 years. You weren't here yet, right?
I was here
You
for
were
that
here?
portion, but I was just
Probably
barely
about
here.
10 years then. So kind of will get you 10 to 15 years, but if we're not going to touch them for 30 years, it kind of tells you a little bit, if we have to wait 30 years, you might as well start doing it with a crew. Because
Yeah.
30 years from now.
Sounds like some generic lipstick for that paper.
You got her.
But it's a discussion we have to make next month with when we do our budget. We have to try to get some of these shovel ready. So when the time comes, we can go. And we may not, if we have it on the books and it sits for another year and isn't approved, so be it, but it's shovel ready. And if there's anything else that Phil, that you know of, and Melissa and anyone at council, we have to get those projects out and aired and discussed and get them engineered or go the right direction. I agree with it, not going through an engineer group with that. You don't have to. There's nothing to engineer. And if we have them shovel ready, we're better off because we can start them in the spring and get better bids in January. Hopefully line some up.
I will say this though, the reason your streets are the way they are is because there's no curb and gutter, storm sewer, and we're covering up old utility. And I get that, I know everyone knows that, you've heard me say that multiple times, and we all know our biggest problem is what? Money. There ain't enough of it, right? No one has enough of it. This town does not have enough money. I wish I had a solution for that. I really do.
Like the old grandpa was having $10 million give away.
10 million, Greg doesn't even get us to the first 5.
Oh, thank you.
Yep, no problem.
Good information for everyone. Under 5, excuse me, Alyssa, did you have anything more on that?
No.
Okay. Under 5B, DOC MSOP Joint Project Update.
Yes, so we just wanted to provide an update of some of the communications that have been happening in the background. Our engineer group, essentially, I took a look at the portion of sewer line that is relevant to the state facilities. They've identified the use by terms of capacity by each, and therefore we're utilizing those figures in trying to determine obligation for project funding. And so we've had a couple of communications with them thus far. It's not quite budget time yet, so no monies are readily available right now, but what we're going to continue to work on in the background is looking for money through state legislative sessions, continuing to look for and be a part of their budget process and just kind of see what we can work out here as we move forward. It's not a hot ticket item for us, but it's something we want to continue to move the needle on. And so we will most certainly be working on that.
And maybe the last communication they sent out, I think everyone knows the legislature, this last session, nothing was passed. So they don't have any money, they just told us straight out, they don't have any money for it. But they did mention of it going into long-term payment, in other words, their sewer bill. But the problem with that is you have to have the money up front to pay the contractor to do that job. So
We have to have the money.
Yes.
Correct.
They would gain it back, but over how long a period of time? I mean, it sounds good on their part, but there's, I don't know, what is it, 500,000 minimum? So.
We'd like to look at a few other
Yeah.
options for funding prior to, really taking a look at that option. So we'll keep working on it.
That may be part of the solution.
Correct.
But there's a lot more money to come up. Thank you. Moving on to 6, new business, 6A, administrative assistant. I'll turn that over to Alyssa.
Yes, today we have our new administrative assistant, Taylor Hansberry, here. We just wanted to introduce you guys. Taylor, if you want to head up to the mic.
Hi, everybody. Thank you for having me. So just a little bit about me. I grew up in Little River. I was born in Moose Lake, but grew up in Little River. So I was raised and graduated a rebel, not necessarily from Moose Lake, but a rebel nonetheless. I did PSEO at Fond du Lac Tribal and Community College, so I did my first 2 years of college. Oh geez, I'm just talking too loud. I did my first 2 years of college while I was still in high school. I was a junior and senior in high school when I graduated my AA degree. And then from there, I moved on to University of Wisconsin-Superior, where I got my Bachelor of Science in Accounting. Technical difficulties. I'll move over this way. So after I graduated from University of Wisconsin-Superior, I had my son. I graduated in May, had my son in August. So I worked part-time for a couple of years while he was still really young, and then the pandemic hit. So then I did stay-at-home mom knit for 2 years. And now his birthday is on Tuesday, he's 35. And so we're looking at kindergarten after Labor Day. So it's time for me to get out and do something other than mom. And so I am so excited to be here with all of you guys. It's going really great so far, and hopefully it continues to do so.
Thanks, Taylor.
Yeah,
Appreciate
no
that.
We are very excited to have Taylor on the team, and for any of you who've not met her yet, I would encourage you to pop up and into the office and have a conversation with her. Things are going really great.
Anytime.
Any questions from council? Thank you. Thank you very much. Moving on to 6B. This is Highway 73 Trail Project, Carleton County Pay Application number 7.
Yes, this is a standard pay application. Currently for Yulin Brothers, the amount paid for this request is $15,907.75.
Council? There's a motion?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor, say aye. Opposed? Motion carried. Just a quick question on the trail, because I don't see it down there any farther. We had some corrections down to the trail, and Philip could maybe just explain them real quick so the council is up to date.
Yep, I will, yeah. So there were a few things called out on our punch list that I made up, and there's some bituminous issues, there's some shouldering issues, some restoration issues, and the bituminous issues are getting taken care of either Friday or Monday this week. We're still looking at the restoration and some shouldering issues. We haven't discussed how that's going to happen yet, but it's going to happen before we final that out. It's very similar to the fluoride pump at the well house. We didn't finish paying them off for almost a year until they gave us what we told us they were going to give us. So that's where we're at, one step at a time.
So you have control of it, and that's good.
But now it starts moving extremely slow.
Yeah.
But we don't pay them until it's done. So
The council, any questions on these items?
Now the trail's being used, I mean, you see people walking and
yes, absolutely.
Constant.
You'll notice in these pay applications, we're still taking retainage out of each pay application. So we still have that from all the previous and from this one alike. And we'll make sure that the punch list gets taken care of and that it meets our standards prior to issuing the last payment.
Thanks, Phil.
Yep.
Appreciate that.
You bet.
There's still some people out there that don't understand that almost all of this was paid through grants.
Absolutely.
I've had a couple people come up and ask about our streets and say, why are we doing this sidewalk or safe walks in school? And I had to inform them that it was through grants, not through the city funds.
Correct.
Thanks for bringing that up, because I've gotten quite a bit of that as well.
Yes.
I have too, and it's amazing, the advertising before we started this on the grants. And the council meeting after council meeting and in the paper, all that was mentioned numerous times, and we still get that question.
The seats aren't filled here, so.
It's amazing though.
Right.
I mean, but that's okay, I guess. Moving on to 6C, 4th Street Reconstruction Project, pay application number 1.
Yes, so as Phil discussed, we are about 3 weeks ahead of schedule. This pay application is pay application 1, but you'll notice the amount due is about 50%, a little less than 50%, and it directly correlates with where we're at in the project. The amount due for this application is $510,574.50.
And you're totally happy with this so far?
Very much so.
Very good.
Absolutely.
So, council, any question, discussion, or motion?
Everything done underground?
Everything's done underground. Yep, subcut is almost finished, will be finished by the end of the week. Storm is done. Curb and gutter, end of next week, flat work the week after that. Bituminous restoration, middle of September. It'll be right on. It looks really good if it would stay rolling and be sweet, because then we would be done by like 3 weeks early, but they always drag it out, so it is what it is. Or schedules don't line up, so it gets caused a big period of drag out.
Motion to approve.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried.
I think it's important to mention also that these monies will be coming directly out of the sales tax fund. So, property tax dollars and things like that are not what's being utilized to make these payments, so just to mention.
Thank you. Moving on to 6D, 2022 sewer lining project and pay application number 1.
Yes, activities have gotten started for the sewer lining project. The amount due to In Situ Farm on the application 1 is $52,788.94.
Any questions from the council? And Phil gave us a little bit of update. Anything else, Phil, doing that? Okay.
We're gonna get right down to the deadline as far as a completion date, and we'll have to discuss what we're gonna do with that a little bit later, but we're gonna push really hard, so.
Very good. We have a motion to accept the application number 1.
So
Do I have a second? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. 6E, lift station pumps quotes.
So this one I'm not proud of, but it is what it is, starting on page 112. This is concerning our virtual lift station. There's 2 20-horse KSB pumps in there, which are about 15, 16 years old, and they are both shot. And when I say shot, we use a few terms in the field I'm not going to use here, but one of the pumps physically came apart, and they're not designed to shut off when that happens. They separate from the motor and the impeller, and inside there now you have a impeller just winding all over the place, and it wound everything up and it damaged the other pump. We have 2 loaner pumps in that hole right now from Minnesota Pump Works, which is our pump technicians. They were able to do a data log on both of those pumps. What that does, it's a computer you put right on the loaner pumps, and it tells you every piece of information you need to know. to size your pump correctly. The pumps that were in there were sized incorrectly, which is why we do data logging now. Even the new lift station was not data logged. So these quotes are for pumps that are going to be the exact fit for what we need. It's a boatload of money, and this would have been budgeted for in 2023, is on my list to bring to you guys for 2023, but we had made it. Go ahead.
Were the ones in there too small?
No, they were not. But when you oversize them, everyone thinks, great, just give it a little bit more, right? No, they start cavitating, they start sucking air, then they start wearing out even faster. I mean,
Bigger is not.
Correct, but before data logging,
You didn't know.
you need somewhere between 20 and 25 horse, and you throw 25 in there, or you need between 15 and 20 through 20. That's just as good as it was. And now they have stuff out there that's just unbelievable. So.
Was the pump house in the same situation?
No, that one was, there was a lot better calculations done on that one.
Okay.
But I mean, those two stations see way more wastewater than anyone even dreams about. Even some of our biggest customers across the road and up on the hill over there. You wouldn't believe what goes through there. No one wants to see it, right? No one wants to talk about it because it costs money, right? But you wouldn't believe how big of a part of that network is of the city of Moose Lake. One of the pumps at the main lift station goes down, it's almost $70,000. We have 3 of them.
Now, those pumps that we're talking about here, we have DUC, MSOP going through them.
Yep.
Correct?
Yep.
We have the sewer district.
Correct.
And ours.
Correct.
So the cost of those pumps has to be calculated so that each entity pays a percentage of the sewage going through it.
So we've discussed that, and that is something that we are working on. Essentially, there's an immediate need, and so we wanted to make sure that we got approval to fulfill the need before the loaners break, or we don't have access to the loaners, or we're behind time at this point.
I understand.
So absolutely want to pursue that, and we will.
Yep.
Okay. Excuse me, Greg, I think you had more to say.
That's fine, I'll ask him later on the styles of pump, that's fine. That's good.
Okay. Thank you.
Do the new pumps, you said the old ones weren't designed when they break apart it'll take the other one out. Is there a new technology 15 years down the line now that it will?
Nope. They will still, there's nothing we can do. No, that's how submersible style pump is built. Doesn't happen very often. I've seen pictures of it, never had it happen to me, and now I have. That is a risk I'm willing to take. I don't believe Moose Lake's ever had that issue. I know Portland had that issue once. But you hear about it, but you don't see it very often.
So this total amount you're asking for is $48,323.15.
That, I believe, is without the retrofit adapter kit. I think the total we're looking for is $59,163.30.
Okay,
The second
the
quote.
next
That is-
page, 115.
I'm sorry.
115, that gives the final quote, 59,163.30.
That's correct.
Any other
Okay.
question? I know
Yes.
on the top it says this doesn't include freight. Are we picking these up, or is this gonna alter the number?
That'll alter the number a little bit. I missed that note. I apologize.
Well, just so we're not making a,
No, absolutely. They'll haul them up when they come with them. It's freight's not going to be, it's not going to be astronomical.
just we don't approve a specific number when it's not gonna be the exact.
And I don't even know what that freight would be to give you a
Yeah.
number. I apologize.
Well, we can approve the quote number from you, or
That's great.
Not to exceed the 60,000 or something of that nature. Rate's not gonna be that much. I don't know, I'm
Yeah,
just saying.
absolutely.
They better
Yep.
bring it up.
Yep. No, good catch. I totally missed it. You're right. You're spot on.
All right, council. Further questions or motion? And I would appreciate with a motion that we state that we are pursuing the other users to pay their percentage amount by volume. which is how we've always done it in the past.
Motion that we approve quote QTE 002039 from Minnesota Pump Works, not to exceed $60,000, and to proceed with trying to share costs with the other users.
Yeah. That'll work.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Moving on to 6F, manhole lining quotes.
So the next two pages are two quotes for, it's labeled manhole lining. It's actually for the campground lift station, which is what we got our grant dollars for to pay. I believe we got $14,500 in grant dollars.
Correct.
To pay to line that station. After I met with these two companies, they are way across the board as far as the product they're offering. That's why we have such a huge number. One product is 100 mil, so 1/4 inch. The other one's 1 inch and a quarter. Comes out in 3 different layers. I've been trying to get in touch with another lining company that would offer either one or the other the same product, so I can get you a quote that's actually apples to apples. I'm having a very difficult time with that. Reached out to our lining company that's going to be in town. They don't offer that either. They offer it's a cement epoxy that's put on by hand, which is going to be not what we're looking for in the situation, nor is what our grant dollars are accepted by to pay for. So to get this paid for the way we want to get it paid for with grant dollars, that will not be an option for us. Alyssa and I have been in some discussions about this, and we're just kind of between a rock and a hard place because we are, we're nowhere close. We're nowhere close to the money. We're nowhere close to the product. Both products are good. Don't get me wrong. One's definitely better, and as you see in the money, it definitely shows that.
So with having $14,500 worth of grant money, if we select one of the options, we have to come out of pocket. If we select the other option, we are at risk of not utilizing the grant dollars to the fullest potential.
So from there, I wanted to reach out to Department of Health, which is where our grant dollars came from, and say, hey, can we add a manhole that's on the same network to this to up that total? And we'll get the lift station and the first manhole done to get us closer to that 14.5, right? I have not heard back about that about the manhole. So I don't even know if we can do that quite yet.
So Phil has communicated to me that he's okay with the product from Everlast. And so, the ultimate goal would be adding an additional item to the estimate to get closer to that $14,500, but we have to get approval from the grant facilitator first.
Correct.
And if we do, we will add to it to try and maximize those monies. We don't
So
have that
they're
yet.
actually saying if you don't maximize it, you can't use the grant dollars.
They're not saying that.
You lose it.
You lose the
Correct.
grant.
Correct.
So the grant is for,
$14,500.
so if you don't use 14,500, you lose it.
Correct.
Correct, but we got two grants. One's for 10,000, one's for 4,900.
Yeah. So we're playing a numbers game here. We're playing a numbers game. We're playing a game with MDH saying, can we do add-ons? The grant specific in the application was for a particular location in the city, but if we add on another manhole, what does that do? Are we still, eligible? So all that is kind of happening in the background as we try and figure out the best way to maximize the $14,500.
So if we were to utilize the one grant for 10,000, we're leaving way less money on the table.
Correct.
We're doing our due diligence to try to get that number to zero. And we still have another open grant for 4,500, which I could see if I could rewrite and get that revised to maybe work on a manhole or anything within that perimeter of the well house is what they're really after. And I have a list of about 5 things on there. Problem is, this was the cheapest one. Everything else is more than $15,000. So, and this was the one they were worried about the most.
So what are you suggesting?
Approve the Everlast quote?
That's what I would say, and then we'll utilize the one $10,000 grant, and we'll just hold tight on the $4,500 grant until we figure out what the best way for Moose Lake is to spend that money.
Correct.
What's the deadline on the $4,500 grant?
I think we're the end of next year, I
So
think.
you have time.
Yeah, because I just got them this spring, I believe. May-ish, April, May, something like that. They're good for a year and a half.
Are we looking at a motion to accept Everlast then?
Correct.
All right. Council,
So moved.
is there a second?
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Thank you, Bill. Number G, columbarium quotes.
Go ahead, start it off.
So we've been doing some work on visiting other cemeteries and trying to determine what was the best columbarium option for Moose Lake. And so we've come up with a few options here. You'll see 2 quotes from Country Creations. We have already approved, and I included those minutes in the packet as well. We've already have approval for up to $40,000, but we just wanted to continue to provide information as we were funneling through our process. So at this time, the preferred columbarium for both Phil and I would be the black and the gray model option. We were able to get some of the quotes whittled down a little bit, so it looks like between that black and gray nameplate option with a foundation and all other things included, we are looking at $32,100. So just wanted to give everybody an opportunity to see the mahogany option versus the black and gray option, to weigh in and then also provide the exact more so number that we're aligning with versus the $40,000 bucket originally established.
We saw a lot of the mahogany, the ones we went and saw, and it's cheaper. Same product, but they're just a cheaper product. We did see 1 or 2 of those
Yeah,
with the black nameplate and the gray
Yeah.
granite, and they are sharp.
really sharp.
They look really nice.
The black and gray option is $2,500 more, but we're still coming in at $32,100, which is under what we had budgeted for. So really a great option, but wanted to bring it forward for everyone to see.
Council?
Is there a life expectancy between the mahogany one and the other one?
Just the color difference is all.
What was the black one that you saw?
I think it was pretty
Pretty new. Pretty
As
new.
far as holiday weather and things of that nature.
Right, right. A couple of things that we'll just point out. We wanted to make sure we found one that had individual nameplates. So some of the columbariums in other cemeteries that we visited had doubles. So if the 2 lots weren't sold together, when one had to go out to be inscribed, it would take both the covers off, so you'd be taking somebody else's nameplate with you. So we made sure we selected options that had individual plates and also have some ideas for flat work based on what we've seen thus far, and for a foundation. So lots of good progress.
Yes, sir.
We got a meeting tomorrow, right?
We do have a cemetery board meeting tomorrow, and what we're looking to do is kind of collaborate with the city gardeners, collaborate with the cemetery board, and city staff, and kind of determine placement and how we want it to look, and a sidewalk and benches, and what is the vision for now and moving forward, and making sure whatever we put in at Sunset has the ability to grow. And so we do have a cemetery board meeting tomorrow as well.
Very good. We're still looking for a motion to purchase this night?
So we already had a motion for the $40,000. This is
Just
transparency.
the type, the-
Correct. And if there were any big reservations between one or the other, we wanted the opportunity for input as well.
Council?
I think sort of, I'd like to go towards the nicer one myself.
That would be my opinion.
Yeah.
I kind of think that brown one would blend in with the trees, and I think it would get lost in the
What do you
aesthetics.
think, over 100 years, how many of these are going to be in that old?
Yeah. Also, I feel like the names and the information inscribed on them popped more on the black one than the mahogany one. They kind of started to blend in, so.
Very great. Doug?
There's no difference in price, is what you're
Yeah.
saying?
Yep.
Oh,
2,500.
Yep, per the total Alyssa read off, that's the
Okay.
total for the,
Black and gray, yeah.
yep.
I really don't care which one you choose,
Okay.
so.
Chris?
Black and
I'd
gray.
go back to the, the committee for it, I like the nicer one myself, but
And we, I know this is a little reversed order, but that's just the way it worked out with our schedules. We couldn't meet
Couldn't get a
before
cemetery.
tonight's meeting,
Yeah.
which is why we made Marvin.
I guess if
Well,
we're
I
paying
won't
that
be
kind of
here
money, we
tomorrow
might as
for the board. I
well.
won't be here for the meeting tomorrow.
Thank you for giving your
I'm fine with
input.
the black and
Yeah,
gray.
so that's.
Black and gray. So we get consensus, black and gray.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Moving on to 6H, Administrator Owens' memo policy recommendation. Melissa?
Yeah, so I just wanted to provide a communication based on some of the work that's been going on in the background. What ultimately spurred some of this was our deep dive into the arena and kind of looking at expenses and then brainstorming as far as ways to mitigate expenses. And then it kind of transitioned into looking at the budget and overall expenses. The goal with this communication is simply to initiate open dialogue. Want to be sure that that can be had, and if there's any interest in pursuing, some type of policy adjustment like this, that we would then coordinate a joint meeting with the Water and Light Commission to have further discussions. So just wanting to open the door and open dialogue.
Council?
Well, I like how you're pursuing this. I support this. I think it's a good thing to look into and try to accomplish to do something like this. And I also appreciate you for taking the time out to contact other cities and see how they're handling issues like this.
I think it's enlightening to see the numbers. You don't probably realize them on a monthly basis what it actually adds up to. And I too appreciate you going forward with this and working diligently.
Doug?
Yeah, I like to see it. I was shocked to see this, and it comes down to we have two different entities, and as much shocked as I am, I think the other entity is going to be pretty shocked as well to have an open discussion about this. But when you have a background what other cities are doing and how it's through transfers and things of that nature, then maybe it makes or sounds better or more palatable. So yeah, I would definitely like to have a discussion if this is what's happening in other areas, because it hasn't happened here. So.
Greg?
Had a problem for a long time.
I think we have pretty much consensus
And it's
to move on.
more than just a moment.
Understood. Would everybody be open to a joint meeting then?
Yeah, I think that's, yeah. I like that.
So that amount of money is forward to $100 million a year.
That's just.
Just think about that. So 8 lots.
And I think it's very helpful, especially to have Ted and Greg, who are, and going back and looking through some of this information, they have a huge background in this. I know Chris has been on the council for a long time as well, so I think that we'll have to utilize their expertise and their memory of what's happened in the past to be help facilitate something like this.
Absolutely.
I think the taxpayers would definitely like to see something like this. It would go a long ways to helping the city's finances. It would go a long ways towards, getting our projects completed on a more timely manner.
Just to give a little perspective, we currently budget for $250,000 annually for sales tax. So when you're looking at a figure of this magnitude, I mean, you're looking at nearly, a 40% reduction in time between projects at that point. So that's really large.
All right, so we'll wait to hear about
Sure, I'll work on
dates
that.
and have to see if we can get it all worked out. Very good. 6I, August working meeting. Is that in conjunction with that, or is this different?
No, so we actually, Phil and I are meeting with Rural Water again next Monday. So we've kind of wrapped up some of our rate study activities for the sewer fund. And I know we had discussed with last year's budget activities, making sure that we took a look at what sewer rates will need to be moving forward in order to compensate for the deficit that we're currently operating at on an annual basis in the sewer fund. So we have some information we'd like to share. Rural Water also provided us with some best practices from other communities our size, so things we can look at implementing that also could potentially help reduce the sewer rate increase. And so lots of information to share, and just want an opportunity to start having some of those discussions and needing to do so in a timely fashion prior to being able to budget.
So are you looking for a date tonight, or are you going to send that out to the council?
If we could set a date tonight, that would be excellent. Then that gives us a timeline to be working off of to make sure we have our materials together.
When are you looking?
Week of the 22nd, are you thinking?
Yes.
I'm only in town Monday and Tuesday,
Walter, Monday or Tuesday?
I'm open to either.
Okay.
Monday works great.
Greg? What about timeline? Are we thinking for everybody, you need to be done by 6? We probably need an hour.
Yeah.
This would probably be an hour. Like, is 4 to 5 good? 3 to 4?
I have physical therapy in Duluth until like 4:30. Earlier
In the morning.
in the morning.
I'm open all day.
I'm too.
Open all day.
Okay, Chris, so then what would be,
Anytime till up to like 2 o'clock.
fine.
Should we do a 10 a.m. on Monday the 22nd? Thank you guys for scheduling that.
So 10 a.m.
I will send out an email reminder as well.
Thank you. On 6J, project schedules and communications.
So Ted kind of touched on this already a little bit. Throughout some of our discussions with our engineer group, Ted, you actually asked for this to be an agenda item.
Yes.
And
It came out from this year, looking at when our bids went out for our projects, like 4th Street especially. They didn't go out until, was it even April?
Middle.
That is such a late start date for a big project. for one thing, I don't know if you would get the lowest bid. And you may not even get 3 bids. I think we did. But if you get them out in January or February, when companies are starting to schedule their summer projects, and they see all the projects coming out from, they're gonna pick and choose, and they're gonna be more competitive, go after certain projects. And if you wait later in the spring, you're gonna get some of the bids, to me, that'll be higher, and they did not win other bids, and they know that people are already scheduled for summer work. So, to me, you never get as good a bid as you want or start date. If you get the bid out in April, you're lucky to get it started in August, especially a big project like that. And then if you run into October, you probably won't get done, and it'll finish up in the spring. And we saw that happen with our trail. So I wanted to make that kind of a priority for us to try to get, if we have projects identified in September, work with our engineer group or with Phil on which way we should go. Excuse me. And plan those projects so we can get the bids out early. And hopefully get a better bid and better start dates. That was the whole effort with me with this agenda item. Phil, do you want to add any more?
It takes, though, to get projects shovel ready, it takes a pile of money. A lot. You mentioned earlier, half of that project, a solid third of that project. Lighting projects are cheap and they're easy and they're fast, but nobody sees that. You know, that's not out in the public eye. I see it. I sit here and tell you guys about it all the time, but no one sees it. It's definitely a need, but it takes some serious money to do what he's talking about doing. And I think it's great because it puts us in control then, and we're telling our engineers what we're gonna do, not we only have this much money, that's all we can do. Because for me, like Ted and I, Alyssa, we talk, and I've felt since I've took over here that we're constantly behind the 8 ball, and it's due to money. And I get that, I brought money up earlier, we all know that, but we need to find a way to reverse at 180, so we're back in control, and they're working for us, and we're getting what we want done, instead of, this is all we have to settle for this again. Because that's what it seems like we're doing.
So
So
some
be
of the-
more, yeah, go ahead, please.
Some of the things we're working on then too is making sure that our engineering fees are part of our budget, which is going to be something that we're doing a little differently this year. In addition then to, just trying to be really as resourceful as we possibly can through some of these other ideas and opportunities that we're exploring. The bigger we grow our pot of money, the more we can set aside specifically for our projects, what we're looking to accomplish in a shorter timeline. So it's all kind of working together, but we just want to make sure that we have communication with you as far as, as we're pushing the engineering on some of these. The reason being is so that we have some of it ready. And then, the budget piece will be what it is, and we're working on that in the background.
That also helps with legislation too, because when they come up with dollars, they want to see shovel-ready projects, and a lot of times it's a short deadline, and if you can't make a submission, you're out.
So example being the DOC project, we've been working with our engineers in the background. We're getting it to the point where as soon as it opens up, we can be ready. We've discussed with the partners and, we can be ready to submit something, but that's also cost a lot of money in the background and something we weren't necessarily budgeted for this year. So it's balanced.
Yeah, and we certainly will have to prioritize. Maybe it's only 1 or 2 projects that we go after being, shovel-ready, and the rest we have to do like we always have, and kind of get behind the 8 ball. But we have to work within our budget, and we know that is our limit.
But I think, Ted, it's like the shuffleboard. You have 2 ready and you get money for one. You slide it over and you start working on another one immediately. It's just a constant flow. You don't ever quit.
Yeah.
I hate those meetings, I hate engineering meetings, I like our engineers, but like, I hate it, but it has to get done. Otherwise, like Ted said, you miss out on those opportunities, and you're constantly behind.
So I think it's a discussion we'll have to look at in September really close and try to identify some of these. And, see how they work in our budget and how we can prioritize. And I just want to kind of get an awareness thing to the council that it'd be to our benefit if we do that. And who knows, maybe only one project we can do it within budget. That was what that was about, informational and something for us to contemplate. Moving on to 6K, Melissa?
Yes, the Moose Lake Area Chamber will be conducting Brewfest within the city limits this year. It's going to be at the depot. So with that, they are required to put in an application and permit for a one-day temporary on-sale liquor license. I just received that this afternoon from the chamber, and so we are looking for approval for their temporary on-sale license for the Brewfest.
Council?
What day is that?
October 17th.
September 17th, yep.
September or October?
It's September 17th.
September.
Yeah.
So moved.
Second.
Any questions? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Under 7, reports and correspondence. 7A, Bill Carlson has a communication to Administrator Owens. Under 7B, Elders Public Finance Advisors, potential refunding of existing bonds. Is that anything you need to be more aware of?
Nope, it's just, as a bonding agent for us, they're just monitoring our financial situation and continuing to monitor it. They're always looking at, if there's any opportunities for us to refinance, essentially, some of our existing bonds. And at this time, there's not. No changes are recommended.
Number 7C, Minnesota Department of Education, 2023 certification of minimum local support requirement.
Yep, so this is for the Moose Lake Public Library. We've got the funding level support identified for 2023 as $66,402. We'll be utilizing that in this next year's budget to make sure we meet that threshold, so we do not have the same issue that occurred previously.
Excuse me. 7D, LCCMR 2023 project update.
Yes, this is a communication from LCCMR. They did notify us that our campground expansion proposal is no longer under consideration. We knew this was most likely going to happen. We currently have a grant open with LCCMR for the trail. So the likelihood of them issuing us more money while we currently have money outstanding, not highly likely, but as we just discussed, now we have a project that is ready to be able to then submit for other funding opportunities moving forward. So we will just continue to work on those, and we can also resubmit to LCCMR when we close out our current project. So options, but at this time we are not being considered for grant monies for the campground expansion through LCCMR.
Just one quick note on Bill Carlson, his communication. I did find out there is a possibility of a second time period for applying for broadband money. So we may want to look at his whole data information he sent us, because we may still have an opportunity to apply for broadband money. So we're going to have to look at that. And the EDA and Carlton and Cloquet, well, Carlton knows about this second admission time. That's something we'll look at. And actually, with all the data you gave us, maybe there is a possibility of some grant money. But it may be 50-50 match, so that is always the problem with broadband. It's a great idea, great opportunities for communities, but if you're looking for a couple $100,000 project, you have to come up with $100,000. So we'll look at that and see how that fits into our whole overall budget. We're gonna have to do it before our budget time in September. Because that matching funds is not easy to get. I think Carleton County had 4 submissions for broadband money, and they asked the EDA for matching funds, and the EDA did not have the money to match with them, but they gave them a letter of support, which was nice. But when your matching funds is in the hundreds of thousands, it's very hard to even accept the grant if you get it. It's
Right.
a lot of money. So, more information on that next month. But it is a good one to read through. It does have a lot of information in there.
Absolutely.
8, committee and board meeting minutes. 8A is the Moose Lake Area Fire District, May 17, 2022, revised. 8B, Moose Lake Area Fire District, June 14, 2022. 8C, Moose Lake Area Fire District, July 12, 2022. And D is the Moose Lake Park and Recreation, July 11, 2022. Under announcements, regular Moose Lake City Council meeting Wednesday, September 14th, 4 p.m. right here. Moose Lake Economic Development Authority, Wednesday, August 17th, 12 p.m. at the City Conference Room. Moose Lake Water and Light Commission, regular meeting Tuesday, August 13th at 1 p.m. Water and Light Office. Moose Lake Housing Redevelopment Authority Board, Monday, September 12th, 11 a.m. Hillside Manor Office. Moose Lake Area Fire District, Tuesday, September 13th, 6:30 p.m. Emergency Response Center. Moose Lake Park Board, Monday, August 29th, 5 p.m. And they're going to meet here, and then from here they do a walkthrough through all the parks for submission for budget items for the next year. Anything else?
I don't believe so.
With that, do I have a motion to adjourn? Do I have a second? Second. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? We are adjourned. Thank you.